voters care about Trump's sexual history? Ask Bill Clinton. She joins us now, along with CRTV host Michelle Malkin. You were saying something to me. I can't wait for Saturday Night Live.
Well, watching those clips, which are frankly embarrassing now in the Me Too era, everybody who made those comments excusing Bill Clinton's behavior, abhorrent behavior, allegations of rape and sexual assault and sexual harassment, they ought to be extremely embarrassed. But all of this hysterical coverage over Stormy Daniels, you know, we all know sex sells. Okay, that's part of it. But this breathless coverage looks like a Saturday Night Live skit. And the point, Sean, is that they are so desperate to try to get Trump on anything. And now that the Russian collusion story is falling apart, at least with regard to Trump and his team, it's certainly in play with Hillary Clinton, the DNC, and the Democrats. But now that that line is falling apart, they've got to come up with a new narrative. So what they're doing with Stormy Daniels is not about the consensual sex from over a decade ago. They're trying to nail him on some sort of violation of campaign finance law. They're dying for a Trump stag tape to come out at some point that they can roll. Anything to embarrass and use as a weapon against Donald Trump, they will find.
Michelle, I think Monica's hit a lot of good points. One that really stood out is in the era of Me Too, the treatment of Juanita and Paula, who will join us, Kathleen Willey, and others, in retrospect, but it wasn't that long ago because they defended the Clintons through 2016, November of 2016. Your reaction?
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, Monica's piece was fantastic. And, Sean, I listened to your interview earlier this afternoon on radio with Juanita Broderick. I can't wait to see her on the channel speaking truth as she has for all of these years, as all of these media hypocrites turn their nose up at her, who were enablers for the victim smearing machine of the Clintons. And so it is not past history, as I've said before, as we've talked about before, to bring up that hypocrisy and make them confront it. What CNN and CBS are guilty of is soft-core journalism driven by a hardcore obsession to bring this president down. The greatest hypocrisy, and Monica knows this well because we've lived it as conservative women in public life for 20, 25, 30 years, is that when these Me Too radical feminists say believe all women, there is a massive exception in that rule, and that is never believe a conservative woman or a Republican woman who is turning the tables and exposing the sexual predation of Democratic and liberal men.
It is such a difference in topics, and Monica, I'll throw this to you. In other words, this is over a dozen years ago. We're talking about consensual, both women, Karen McDougal and Stormy Daniels, both women say it's consensual. Then you compare it to rape, groping, grabbing, touching, fondling, kissing against Kathleen's will, Paula Jones and dropping his pants, and they did everything they could do to ignore it and not hold Hillary accountable for defending him.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, the double standard is glaring. But the idea that the leftist media would think that the Stormy Daniels or Karen McDougal stories are going to stick and somehow damage Donald Trump. Bill Clinton, who they aided and abetted all those years ago and continue to do so, by the way, he rewrote the playbook on this. He taught the American voter, taught the American people not to regard this kind of thing with any kind of real importance, right? To treat it as irrelevant. What happens in a presidential bedroom or before a man becomes president stays in the bedroom, right? Especially if it's consensual. We're not talking about non-consensual here. He rewrote the rules here. And now Donald Trump is saying, look, he's not saying anything. He's being defended. This is a long ago thing. So if we want to apply the rules that Bill Clinton put into place, well, why not? Then it's the same. It should be the same standard.
And in fairness, Ed Bradley did interview, I believe, Kathleen and Paul. In fairness, and he worked with 60 Minutes. He was a great reporter over the years. I have a lot of good things to say about him. But the tawdry aspects, am I wrong in just thinking Anderson Cooper's creepy? And when I'm comparing him to Jerry Springer, that's what I'm reminded of. Is America understanding this? 22 million people watched last night. Huge number, Michelle. But I suspect it was out of curiosity more than anything else.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it was sort of like a rubbernecking in front of a train wreck. And you know, you can put your smart glasses on and have this veneer of gravitas, but in essence, Anderson Cooper is no different than Stormy Daniels in being a striptease exhibitionist.
And you know what? There's one other thing, and I agree with everything that Michelle said. There's one other thing. The way it boomeranged and actually helped Bill Clinton survive impeachment, and there was sort of a rallying around the president, same thing is going to happen here. People tuned in last night because it was salacious. And
but, you know, they're also missing the biggest abuse of power.
This kind of thing actually helps Donald Trump.
Are we going to start asking questions about so-called journalists and every detail of their lives?
Well, they would not want the spotlight shown on them now, would they?
And then would say that's over the line, wouldn't they? Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, listen, this country has serious problems. The country elected Donald Trump to deal with them. They could care less about a story like that. They want the president to deal with our issues.
I'm pretty sure I made a lot of friends in the industry tonight. I'd like to say welcome, all of you. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. All right, the show's far from over. When we come back, a Hannity exclusive, Paula Jones and Juanita Broderick, they react to this gross hypocrisy. And